Azeem brought a claim against Yorkshire County Cricket Club because of racial discrimination and victimisation that he faced as a whistleblower speaking out about the racism that he suffered at the club. Now, that claim has since been settled with the new chairman of Yorkshire, Lord Patel. So today it really will be about Azeem explaining to the parliamentary committee his experience of racism at the club and why he's chosen to speak out.
Does he feel vindicated given that the claim's been settled?
Of course, he feels vindicated because not just because the claim has been settled, but because the club has taken the first important steps towards creating change at the club, implementing an anonymous whistleblower system to ensure that no one goes through what Azeem went through in raising concerns about racism within the club. This is the change that he set out to put in motion by speaking out to make sure that no one goes through what he went through, so that young British Asian players feel welcomed and supported at the club and don't suffer what he suffered. And so seeing others feeling the ability now to speak out after he has, I think is certainly the vindication that he needs, and he will continue to advocate for change in the sport.
Did he receive an apology? Did he receive a financial settlement?
There was a financial settlement and also an apology made by Lord Patel, the new Yorkshire chairman, who said that he should never have faced the treatment that he faced. He should never have been treated the way the club treated him, and that the club is very sorry. They apologised to him and to his family and have assured him that the club is going to put in place the changes that are needed to make the place more inclusive for everyone in the sport. And I think this is a positive first step. But of course, Azeem will continue to advocate for the change that he thinks needs to happen. And as we're hearing with more and more players coming forward, this is a watershed moment for cricket. It's breaking the silence around racism, and hopefully we'll see positive changes.
Has he been asked to be part of the solution when it comes to Yorkshire County Cricket Club?
For now, Azeem is happy to let Lord Patel take the changes that he needs to make, and Azeem will continue to be involved in various charities. He's already been announced today as an ambassador for a mental health charity. He was, of course, left suicidal and had mental health issues as a result of the treatment he faced. And so Azeem will find a number of different ways, both inside and outside of cricket, to continue to advocate to bring an end to racism and to be a positive ambassador for kids coming through the sport.
You mentioned the fact that he was speaking at the Select Committee later on today, 9:30, covering it live here on Sky News. What can we expect from that?
Well, this is, of course, the first public and independent opportunity and forum in which Azeem will be able to tell his story. I think the public will hear more about what actually happened. The public will hear more about the way the club treated him, the way they tried to cover this up, and that Azeem really wanted to resolve this in an amicable way. And it's really all of this controversy has happened because the club didn't listen and do the right thing. And I think it's important that politicians hear this and that this committee process can be part of pushing for more change in the sport.
Have you worked on cases like this in the past?
I've not worked in cases, well, I've worked with whistleblowers, of course, and I've worked with women who are fighting for change in the sport. And Azeem, I think, is really at the forefront of, as a whistleblower on racism in sport and bringing this to the attention of Yorkshire. We're now seeing more and more cricketers come forward. And of course, the courage that he's shown in speaking out is now encouraging others to do the same. So I hope he will be the first and perhaps not the last, but let's hope that others will find it easier after what he's been through.
Yeah, I just wondered what your reaction was when he came to you and he talked to you about some of the challenges that he had faced over a considerably long period of time.
My initial reaction was that he was someone who was taking a very principled stance. He was motivated by the Black Lives Matter movement. He was devastated by what had happened to him, and he really wanted to make sure that kids coming up through the club wouldn't go through what he went through. And that was his primary motivation throughout all of this. He wanted to see the changes in the club that are now starting to happen under Lord Patel's leadership, and we hope that that will continue. And I really want to pay tribute to him, his courage in coming forward. It's been a very difficult year for him. He was suicidal when he left the club because of what happened. He's continued to suffer because of the attacks that he's faced, that we as his lawyers have faced for bringing these complaints forward. And it's really a testament to him and to his family, the support that they've given him to be able to get through what he's been through.
Do you anticipate other cricketers may well now come forward to you as well at other clubs throughout not only perhaps the United Kingdom but other parts of the world as well, feeling emboldened given what we've heard from Azeem Rafiq?
Already there are cricketers coming forward with similar stories, and not just in England. As you say, we've heard cricketers from Essex come forward in the past few days, but I've been contacted by players in South Africa, in India and Pakistan. This issue and what Azeem has done in speaking out, in breaking this silence, is encouraging people to come out around the world and talk about their experiences. And that can only be a positive thing for the game. It's important that we create an inclusive space in all sports and in every aspect of society, that people from a diverse background can succeed and be supported. And that's what I think is so important about what Azeem has done and the conversation that's now happening in Parliament and around the world and within the sport. And I think Azeem should be very proud of what he's done to enable this conversation and to see the changes that we're now seeing.
And do you anticipate other cricket boards around the world will have a similar reaction to what you have seen from the ECB in the United Kingdom?
Well, I think everyone is watching what's happening in England. So, of course, there are serious questions being asked about the ECB and whether the ECB intervened when they should have and have done all they could have to make sure that cricket is the safe space that it ought to be. So I think there are real questions being asked about the way the ECB has conducted themselves. And that's important, that we improve the regulator for the sport and that we see positive changes implemented elsewhere. So I certainly hope that this is just the beginning of what is the necessary change that we need for cricket.